Hey everybody, Mike Linville here, founder of Black Dog Education and developer of the DIY Creator Series. Now welcome back to week number 3 of the Does Your Website Suck awareness campaign. Now in this campaign, what we're doing is we're calling attention to 6 of the largest website mistakes that small businesses make. Now if you've been with us, you'll remember back in week number 1 we talked about design blunders, right? We shot this video, it's about 20 minutes long, where we were talking about things like typography, talking about things like color theory and how that evokes different emotions in people, and things like layout. In week number 2, I want to go ahead and apologize right now. We started talking about web analytics and site tracking, and I get a little long-winded when it comes to that topic. So we went a little long on that one. It was about 35 minutes or so, but the reason why we did was because I want you to understand web analytics is what it's all about. I mean, you've got to be able to track. Remember, your website is just another marketing tool, right? I mean, you wouldn't do some sort of a advertising campaign if you didn't know how much money you spent on it and what your return on that was, right? I mean, if you've got a positive return, you're going to do more of it. If you're getting a negative return and you're not getting your money back, you want to stop or else you're going to go out of business. Your website is exactly the same way, and a lot of people don't really put that much emphasis on this tracking and the analytics, and they really should. So, if you haven't seen those videos, go ahead and click on the links over here on the right-hand side and start with the intro video, because that's where we're going to talk about, why we're even putting this awareness series together, and we're also going to talk about the sweepstakes that we've got that goes side by side with it, okay? So if you haven't signed up for the sweepstakes, click the button over there and make sure that you sign up for it. Don't be silly. It's a free website that we're giving away. Pretty much anybody can use a free website. It's going to be all search engine optimized. It's going to be awesome, okay? So anyway, let's get to it now. We are week number 3. We're talking about content catastrophes. So throughout this video, this is going to be shorter than last week, I promise, but throughout this video, we're going to be talking about content quite a bit. Content this, content that, this is what it should be, this is what it shouldn't be. So before we really get rolling, what I want to do is I want to make sure that we're all clear on exactly what content is. And when I'm talking about that, what are we really talking about? So when I'm talking about content, we're talking about the information that actually goes on your page, right? In the first week, we talked about design blunders. We talked about layout. We talked about color theory and things like that. So there we were talking about, in general, like how things are positioned in relation to each other, where you're going to have headers and footers and sidebars and whatever that is. Now, when we're talking about content, what we're actually talking about are things like text, images, audio, video, interactive forms, things like that. So it's not where things are positioned in relation to each other, it's actually what gets involved, what kind of information is being put on the website, okay? So what kind of images are you going to use on your header? What kind of emotions are you going to evoke with that? Where are you going to have interactive forms and where are you just going to leave text? Those types of things, okay? So hopefully that's clear. Now that we understand what content is all about, why don't we try to talk about what content is for? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what website content is for, okay? From a consumer's perspective, website content is there to let a user know about a business's products, services, or areas of expertise so that they can make an educated decision as to whether that business is right for them or not, right? Whether it's going to make a connection for them. When we take a look at content from a business owner's perspective, though, we need to get a little more strategic with it, right? Granted, we need to do all of those other things, right? We need to let people know, look, this is who we are, this is what we do, these are our products. But when we start looking at crafting content for a website, what we really want to be able to do with our content is we want our content to be able to take our users one step closer to an ultimate action that we want them to take, right? So we're trying to drive people closer to doing something, right? If it's an e-commerce site, maybe we're trying to drive a sale, right? If you're a service-based business and you're trying to generate leads, maybe we want them to fill out a form and download a document or something like that, or it could be setting an appointment, whatever the case may be, okay? This is a big distinction, though, that we need to make, and we should probably do that right here, is that when people are searching online, there's one main reason why people search online, why they use Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever it is that they use. People search online because they're trying to solve a problem that they currently have, right? So for example, I have allergies really bad. We live here in California, lots of pollen, stuff like that. Every Saturday when I go mow the yard, for 3 hours afterwards, my throat gets scratchy, my eyes, I hate it. It drives me crazy. So what do? I go to Google, I type in landscape services, and I find a guy that can come out and mow my yard for me. Boom, problem solved, okay? Another example, let's say we've got an elderly couple that has a couple of pets. They got a couple of dogs, right? And maybe their mobility isn't what it quite used to be, but they love their dogs. They still want to be able to take their dogs out and get them the exercise that they need. So, what do? They go over to Bing and they type in pet sitters or dog walkers and try to find somebody that can actually help solve that problem they have, right? Let's say, for example, you've got a website that's not really doing what you want. It's ugly, it's not converting, it's not doing this. So you go over to Google and you type in black dog, right? No, I'm just kidding. Listen, I'm teasing a little bit there, but what I want you to do is I really want you to be able to get that idea, and I hope that you understand that because that's really important. Great content on the web isn't about you sitting in front of the camera or you sitting in, or writing down on a piece of paper and saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how great I am. People don't really care about that kind of stuff, right? Really great content is about telling customers about how you can solve their problems, right? I mean, if you can get that kind of customer alignment, you're going to be good to go. So what does that mean? It means that before we start doing any kind of content creation or, when we're taking a look or doing some sort of an audit on the content that's on our existing website, what we need to do is we need to be able to step into the shoes of our customer a little bit and kind of see, okay, what are the problems that they're having? How does my service, my product, my expertise, how do I help them solve those problems, right? Now, that's going to be important because you want to be able to hit that anytime you do a marketing message. Whether you're coming up with copy for your homepage, whether you're coming up with copy for a pay-per-click ad or a banner or whatever the case may be, okay? So that's really important. Number one, people are going to be searching online because they're trying to solve a problem, okay? Number two, we know that 100% of the people that visit your website, that land on your page, they're going to take some sort of an action, okay? And then number three, good content is how we can actually get those users to take the action that we want as opposed to the action that they want, right? That's going to be the important piece. So if this all sounds familiar, it probably should, because you probably should have dusted this stuff off anytime you put together any kind of a marketing message, right? So, anytime you put together a marketing message, what you want to do is you want to start with kind of the end user in mind, right? I mean, because if you have a message that talks specifically to somebody's problem, they're going to be like, yeah, I know, or yeah, me too. And that's really what you want people to be doing. You want people to be able to say that in their head or out loud or whatever the case is, because when you can get them to make that kind of a shift, you've got them. They understand you guys are on the same wavelength, and they're going to think that your problem or your solution can actually solve their problem, okay? So really what we want to be able to get to is we want to be able to get to the point where whether it's on paper or whether it's on video camera, we can actually look and just say, you know what, look, I understand your problems. I have a solution for your problems. I've helped these people. These are all my testimonials. I've helped these people with that exact same problem, and more importantly, I can help you. Okay? If you can do that, and you can do that with confidence, and you can do that with clarity, your conversions are going to skyrocket. Okay, so we're going to talk about the four primary elements of content, which I like to call text, images, video, and your interactive elements. Okay, so number one is your text. Now, the common problem or problems that I see small businesses address or run into when they're talking about text is they usually have too much text. It's either improperly formatted or what I like to call just limp text, okay? So as a general rule, it's good to think about web surfers as skimmers because they do. They're going to skim through your page. People that are going to visit your website, there have been all kinds of like iStudy reports and things of that nature that show that when people come to a page, they don't read big blocks of text. They skim, right? So, when we're writing for the web, what we want to do is we want to make sure that our text is very clear, very concise, and very easy to read, okay? So, I guess the one caveat to that is the deeper that people get into the site, the more time they've got invested, the closer they are to making a decision, so the more time they're willing to give us. But when we're talking homepage, we're talking top level page, you got like 5 to 7 seconds to get them the information they need and get them on their way, or else they're going to bail, okay? So my 3 tips for text are going to be, number one, make sure that you use meaningful headlines, okay? A couple of reasons for that. The first is that that's a really good way for you to be able to break up larger elements of text, right? Come up with some headlines and kind of break that up a little bit. The second thing is we know that people are going to skim through your pages, so that's a really good way for you to be able to put your features and your benefits of whatever your product or service are out there and make them easy for people to go ahead and get to, okay? The second top tip that I have for text is make sure that you use lists. Use them as much as you can, okay? If you've got large paragraphs of text on your website with lots of commas and features and benefits, turn that into a list. It doesn't matter what kind of a list. It could be a bulleted list. It could be a Roman numeral list. It could be a numerical list. It doesn't really matter. But lists are a lot easier for people to read. It's also a lot easier for search engines to go ahead and kind of grab a hold of too. So take that for what it's worth. And then the third thing is we want to make sure that every step in our process, every element on our page is taking our customers or our visitors one step closer to the action that we want them to take, okay? So everything, home page should take them to a product page should take them to a checkout page, and so on and so forth, okay? The second primary key that we're going to talk about here are going to talk about images.